I like to think I'm a man of my word, and sometimes, no matter how hard we try, we can't keep our word. And when I say keep our word, I mean like if I say I want to do something and I can't get it done, sometimes it's not because I changed my mind or because I'm lazy. It could be because I just couldn't conjure the resource, or perhaps there was something in life that literally prevented me from being able to go. Because sometimes if you don't do this, you don't survive. Like this crisis happens, you don't deal with it, your finances go away, your car goes away, you have to walk too far. There's a lot of random things that can happen to somebody while they are out and about in the world. Um, and Most of the time, like you let's say you go somewhere, you have to park. So all that parking, whatever your credit card happens to be that day, your debit card amounts that you have on there, the cash on hand, you want to go enjoy this event, but there's all these things that are demanding your attention. Traffic on the way there. Are you going to be there on time? Or is there going to be a place to park? How expensive is it going to be? Am I going to be able to afford it? Is my oil low? Is my gas almost out? Do I have enough food for tomorrow? Do I feel like I'm prepared for where I want to go to? Is there somewhere I need to go to make my life better and I don't know how to get there? Or perhaps I don't know where to go to make my life better. There's a lot of things that can be presented to someone in their day, their situation. And there's so many different variables that, I mean, like I needed propane once, and this person wouldn't sell me propane after a certain time because he just didn't want to. But it was cheap propane, and I needed my propane tanks filled. So I had to go somewhere that was expensive and get half the propane, and I ran out of propane. I drove all the way down there, and I was running out of gas, and he said, I'll sell you propane. I go down there, and he decides not to. For whatever reason, because he could say no. That was a really hard night. And a really hard night like that can carry over. I mean, just the traumatic experience sometimes of what can happen when you are in a feeling of desolation and isolation at the same time, and maybe even frigid temperature, low amount of food. I mean, because at the same time you're going to be thinking probably about other people and how you don't have anybody you feel like to help you, or there's a lot of sad thoughts that can happen while somebody is experiencing a resource crisis. Because part of resource crises can be food crises, and that can bring a whole level of crisis in and of itself in someone's body. Somebody has to eat enough to get by, no matter what they believe they have to eat, no matter what other people tell them they should eat or give them to eat. People need a certain degree of sufficiency when it comes to quality of food. It's got to be sufficient enough. I mean, yeah, maybe you can eat junk food and still be okay. When I say junk food, I mean just food that might taste good or feel good or might fill your stomach, or a mixture of all three, but might not be good for you when it comes to giving your body optimization, giving your body the chance to optimize itself when it eats. So if you want to feel better, in my view, it would make the most sense to focus on getting what nature provides as much as possible. When somebody is eating sufficient amounts of the right nutrients, then certain things can happen. There's some theory I heard that the human body used to make its own vitamin C on its own, and then we don't anymore, and we don't know why. But I would say, let's say a few generations of too many people drinking too much alcohol, it's It's like, just because you have a body doesn't mean you are fully activated in all of its wonderful function. If you can have a heart, you can have lungs, but if you've never had your heart and lungs online with each other, then you're going to have a different, maybe a very fragmented experience, but not necessarily understand that because it's the only experience that you're having. When we are trained so out of our connection that we become so disconnected, we become disconnected physiologically, and then the body can still function. Obviously, if you're alive, it's functioning, but of course people that are in comas technically are alive because their body's functioning. So a coma would be like, say, the lowest level of life you can have. Now, what is the highest level of life you can have? Well, you might think that it's somebody who runs around like a madman, hyperactive on their health, going around pushing protein shakes or something like that. But the example that I'd like to give maybe doesn't really exist that much. I don't know that I've never heard anybody really talking about a human being eating to optimize. I've never even heard of people really doing that. Like, I know people like to drink things and do stuff to get healthy. They say, I want more protein, or maybe to build muscle, but, is there a higher attainment we should be asking for when we eat and drink that we don't discuss? Is there a more poignant path, a more intentionful way of consuming? I mean, imagine you have the life that you have now where you've done everything you've done and here you are sitting here. Do you have health problems at all? Okay, then if you do have health problems, now imagine another version of you. Let's say you spent 90% of your life outside in good oxygen in the forest and ate foods that didn't have so much of man's cramped hand in the way of its being really. You have nature, you have whole foods growing from sources that hasn't been tapped or touched by companies that destroy quality for quantity, or will throw out stock to ensure uniformity among size, to not confuse the consumer and give them products they don't know they could even have. Bigger, smaller bananas. I mean, the bananas get thrown out in droves, probably, when they don't match up to supermarkets' desired things. So we over farm, but yet we also throw away vegetables at the farms. There are farms that don't do anything with the bananas that they throw out. They just compost them and get rid of them. So all that over farming just to have waste to throw out. Now that's what you get when you make uniformity such, when a consumer goes in and so much uniformity, that they're not even aware of how much food is wasted on their behalf, of making them trust or something more, something about consistency, giving consumers the illusion of constant, like, definite gonna be there. I mean, if you believe that the grocery store will always be there, it always will. If you don't want the grocery store to be like it is, and you can do enough, you can maybe change it. Make a new grocery store on your own. Do it your way. Make some changes. I mean, I used to have this weird opinion about people who shopped at Whole Foods. I can't tell you the opinion because I don't really have words for it. Just a visual pictorial of how I felt. Kind of a judgment, but not really. But now I was able to go to Whole Foods long enough, and I realized me not going and eating these whole vegetables every day was the problem. No salad bar in any grocery store was as substantial as the one at Whole Foods. And I would go there every day and get 2 bowls of salad, small bowls. And I would eat them for at least a year and a half straight. Every day I went to Whole Foods and I got vegetables. Well, I didn't know till later that I was someone who suffered from nutrient deficient problems, chronic nutrient deficiencies. And a lot of my inability to sleep good, inability to conjure the energy, to speak well, to take more action on my behalf, and to live a better life. It was hard to do it when I didn't have enough of what Mother Nature needs to give me so I can function on a high level. I'm not talking about high functioning. When people hear high functioning, I think sometimes they start to loop in like some sort of assumption of, disability or mental oddness. But I don't see any autistic kid as even odd at all. They're not odd. They're just like everyone else. They're just themselves. But I like that about me. I like that I don't see people as disabled. I like that I see people as potentially healable. I like that I see people as one. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have some, of course I have a preference when it comes to my sexual partners. And I don't really I haven't had one in a while, but I don't look for them anymore because I feel like looking for them is antithesis to what I'm trying to do. Just relax and let life bring me stuff so I can receive it better. Sometimes I stomp on the ground before the crop comes up because I'm so mad it's not coming up. And then when it comes up, I grab it too quick. I don't mean to. I'm not patient. I'm too in a hurry. I know why. I could go into why I'm in a hurry all the time. But I don't really want to bring up that subject. My available transportation is difficult. That's all. That's why I'm in a hurry. There are things I have to accomplish in order for my survival. I know I have to learn yoga because if I don't, I'm not going to be a substantial, what I need to do as a person to have longevity and career and well-being, I have to become a yoga teacher. It's a necessary step. And the sooner the better, because it's like the missing ingredient to my being able to go and do what I want to do is not being a yoga teacher. And the more I put it off, the more the universe is getting really impatient with me. Because it knows I'm supposed to be a yoga teacher, and as soon as possible. I am really good at understanding how to make my body better. I'm really good at understanding self-care. I understand self-care better than any person I've ever met. Especially guys. I understand it enough to know when it's time to not make videos, when it's time to sleep, when it's time to hide from the world. And to me, that's a strength. To know when to hide and how to hide from the world. When to turn off the phone. When to throw the phone out the window. When to throw the cigarettes out the window. When to throw the fear out the window. I'm not saying to litter. But there's a lot of things as I go about my life, I'm able to drop out the window as I go. I put down smoking a long time ago. I put down, I threw spitting out. I don't spit. I became a nose breather instead of a mouth breather, and it made my face improve its function. It was a habit. I wanted to see what would happen. I trained myself to breathe mostly through my nose, and it saved my life. I believe it saved my life because it gives me, if I'm not breathing correctly, if it's more important that I breathe through my nose more often for my optimization, I'm gonna have to do that, or I might never experience what it's like to have a well-functioning breathing apparatus. There's a difference between how I breathe and how I now breathe. I was definitely in an uncomfortable place in my body in many different ways. My breathing was subpar. I had tinnitus, partially because my breathing being so subpar for so long that the ear canal's just collapsing under for not being stimulated and pushed and activated and opened and exercised, just taken for granted. I gave my eyes over to the optometry industry, like, oh, you have an astigmatism. That's not a condition, I found out. I thought it was. I thought that's why you get glasses, is because you have an astigmatism, but it's the shape of an eye. They just call it that. So I don't apparently wear glasses anymore. My vision is pretty good now. But what was the result of me like breathing just in my mouth and giving my, wearing glasses, not knowing how to properly trim nose hairs, or having, say I don't know how to do my toes that well. Like, how do I keep them healthy? I didn't know that. I had to learn that on my own, the hard way sometimes. I didn't really get told about gel or anything of the hair products. No one took me to the store and showed me how gel worked. I used to dry out my hands in junior high. I put water in my hair because I didn't know what to do. I was so frustrated by my looks in school. I looked stupid because I would try to do my hair. I didn't have any gel. I didn't know what gel was. I didn't know what hairspray really was, or mousse. Not really. And it made my socializing difficult because you're going to make fun of this guy because his hair is so fucking stupid looking. He's more likely to get made fun of than not, or at least not be taken seriously. I didn't know how to do my eyebrows. I tried to do them on my own and I just got ridiculed for it. No one helped me. They thought I needed my eyebrows done. They were too bushy. I was embarrassed. No one helped me. I tried to do them on my own. I wanted a new style haircut, so I let my friend do it because I didn't have money for a haircut. So I just said, hey, yeah, go ahead, give me a haircut. You give me the worst haircut ever. I needed someone to let me go to a barber and let me say what I wanted. I was told that my hair would be too long. I was having a crisis of looks, a crisis of hygiene. And they put braces on me. I don't even think I needed them. Sure did make me look weird. I had a tough time in junior high because of that. Because of breathing incorrectly and having poor hair. I mean, as soon as I got into high school and I started doing my hair and stuff like that, they were like, oh, you clean up nicely. It's like, do I? I didn't even realize I knew. I didn't realize that's, like sometimes just my hair, not knowing what gel was, made me look so stupid. But no matter what I would be doing, I would not be taken seriously. So, give guys a better lesson in self-care. Show them how to get their nails did. Show them how to take care of themselves beyond whatever it is we normally say. There's more conversation that kids need to have about their bodies, about how to take care of them. If you don't know, well, bring them to someone who does. Kids deserve to know, boys deserve to know what it's like to have good hygiene and what it's like to have the self-esteem that comes from good hygiene. My self-esteem was gone in junior high because my hair was a tragedy. It was a tragedy in junior high school. No one helped me with it. And you wonder why I had such a hard time. My clothes were often stupid looking. No, not all the time. But I had a really horrible experience in junior high school. I had no lunch. I was given $2. I just had candy, cookies, and soda. And was smoking cigarettes, so I didn't feel hungry. I definitely needed to eat. So 5 days a week, I had one meal. 5 days a week for 3 years. Every day in junior high, I had one meal a day. Usually. One meal. Dinner. And in high school, I wasn't given any money for lunch by my mom. No food, no lunch money, and expected to succeed. I couldn't. It was impossible for me to succeed. You can't send someone to school for that long and not feed them. What was anyone thinking? I never got a lunch at school. I never had a chance to get a lunch. No one noticed. No one cared. And now I am well fed, well educated, and well aware that there's a lot of people out there that are very unaware of the possibilities that people's behavior, their personality disorders, or whatever you want to call them, their behavioral issues, might be a result of someone like me who didn't get any food at school. You can't give a 7th grader $2, send him to school, and then think it's okay. Don't find out what I'm eating. No one tells you. I don't see anything inappropriate because I feel like my life is still good. Cigarettes are sustaining my inability to feel hungry. So, wow, smoking cigarettes made me unable to feel my chronic malnourishment. And instead of being helped, I was penalized even further and had my $2 taken away. Feel what it would feel like to get to 10th grade and be given nothing for lunch from your mom. Nothing. No money and no lunch. 10th grade. No job yet. And then you wonder why you end up having to drop out. Well, I didn't know I was hungry because cigarettes were a good substitute. If I didn't have cigarettes, I might have realized I was hungry and asked for food, or I might have just died of neglect. I was neglected. And it was my behavior that seemed to make people feel like they were justified in how they would treat me. My behavior was a result of living as well as I could under extremely hard conditions of not getting enough nutrition, not enough food to make a person. My well-being was impossible in junior high school. Impossible. Not knowing how to make myself look better and not having any food. I had zero chance of surviving and making it. I was literally left to the dogs. And it was completely under everyone's radar, or no one just cared. So, here I am now as an adult, and I'm disgusted by what happened. And I want to speak my mind more about this because I think that I need to let people know that kids aren't your fucking science experiment, and that we need to be kinder to everybody.